Hi BLN. In this series of Leadership Practicals, I'm going to be talking with Jesse Maitland. Jesse is a production specialist, and I hope that today you hear from him the heart of production, the Father's heart for production, how to work with pastors and production teams, and perhaps some practical tools and resources for you for your church. Jesse, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my
Tell
pleasure.
us a little bit about who you are and your history with production.
Yeah. Gosh, I think I first started in AV when I was about 18 months.
Define AV for all of us.
Audiovisual.
Yes.
My parents said I used to always hit all the buttons, as every child typically does. Mm-hmm. But seriously though, I fell in love with production in my high school, junior high school age, and just really was inspired by all things creative. Yeah. And so I think originally I started serving with, actually first started serving Bethel when I was about, I guess 8th grade. Yeah, 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
A name that some people might know, Gene Carpenter, was the original production person who established the media ministry at Bethel Church under
wow.
Earl Johnson.
Wow.
Just kind of a fun little token in there,
Yeah.
Most people don't know that. And it was awesome to be able to just kind of be mentored by him in the early days. And he had such a beautiful heart for the simple message of spreading the good news.
Yeah.
And he was just always so excited about that. And really, I think he really imparted that on me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's beautiful. So you've been around since Bethel really kicked off in media ministry as well and promoting Bethel around the world. Why do you think this is important? Why is production important? Why should we have a media department or care about the production that we deliver?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said there. I mean, you could say it's a digital version of the modern day gospel track, instead of handing out brochures or something, it is spreading the good news. But I think also, it's like, I think you look at it as church production people are like a modern day scribes. And it's not just about capturing, but it's about archiving. Archiving truth is kind of how I like to look at it. It's like, what is the truth and how are we representing that? And I think for most people who serve in production, they carry a conviction. I think they share that conviction of what is truth, how are we showing it, how are we hearing that, how are people accessing it, and what's the impact? And so I think it's such a beautiful thing to think that actually when I was a boy, what really cemented the idea for me, I was working at a TV station and we literally would broadcast over the air, right? And I remember putting on Joyce Meyer cassettes and I would think to myself, there was this apartment building next to ours, and it was, low income. There's a lot of drug activity, and people were in need. They were really in need. And I thought to myself, most people who have nothing typically have at least a TV. And I thought, man, how amazing is it that I have the potential to be in their living room every day by means of this wireless transmission.
Wow. And
I just thought, man, God can meet them in the time of need. And what a privilege if I'm the one that gets to be a part of that.
Wow, that's beautiful. So you're seeing it as a ministry. You're seeing it as this is the gospel being shared around the world into those types of homes, into everybody's home. They get to hear the message of the gospel. That's beautiful. How have you grown, or how have you seen audiovisual world, production world expand in your life? How have you experienced its growth, and how have you seen that impact how ministry is done around the world as well, or even at Bethel?
Gosh, I mean, it's, I think the production culture of the church has grown so much. And I think I'm reminded often, the impact that we've had. And, I've had, people come up to me and they share how the years of service, the production that has come out of this house has impacted them in so many different ways and inspired them in their broadcasts and their productions. And I just look at them and I just say, man, I didn't know I was doing all that. I literally was just worshiping. And what an amazing fruit of this house to see the extension of, that we have such an amazing production flowing from such a rich worship culture, and to see that full extension of how that plays out. You see it play out in, what we say excellence. And our excellence is the mastering of our craft, trying to execute well, and to serve people, to spread the good news. But ultimately, it's been, how do we give the world an encounter, right? And the message of the house, like, how do we owe the world an encounter, so how are we going to get over there? Yeah. How do we take what's happening in our culture and distribute it globally? So pretty awesome. I feel pretty good about that. It's exciting. But the quiet voice in me says, I'm just that youth group kid who is passionate about worshiping the Lord and holding a camera and just seeing him show up and being able to capture that for the first time.
Yeah. Let's talk about leading a team. We are in a supernatural environment where you just described that this is worship, that production is worship. How do you build out the kingdom values, the core values of the house? How do you instill that belief, that value, that production is worship? How do you lead your team in that? How have you developed that culture in your team?
We've had a lot of great leaders serve and pour into this environment. I think there's always been this shared core value of worship. Like Bill would say, the heartbeat, the drum beat, he would say, that calls to people, right? That's what draws them in. And it's been so amazing to see just to see the people that respond and have come. And so when they come, they're usually already on mission. Like, they want to be here, they want to serve, they want to be a part of what God is doing. But what will get you actually invited and bring longevity to your ministry here is those who know how to worship. And I think it's kind of a simple term that we just assume it means you can pick up your instrument, but really it's an attitude or a heart posture of, how can I worship while I do this? I think also the posture of a worshiper is always in anticipation of where God is moving. Where's the Holy Spirit moving next? And without a calibration, without the Holy Spirit in you, without activating that, it's just impossible to know. And so I think as camera operators, you're typically, we train our camera ops to be in a place of worship, anticipate where God is moving, and that way that we are bringing people into that worship encounter with us.
Do you see a difference from when people are just filming compared to when people are worshiping?
Absolutely.
What does that look like? How do you tell the difference?
Yeah, I use a lot of visual references because I'm really a director, but visually, like, our broadcast is known as more of a cinema live style, and that just didn't exist. That was not a style that existed until, as far as I know, until us. And I think no one quite does it the way that we do. And I owe most of it to this pursuit of encounter in worship, and how do we bring a virtual audience with us. Our broadcast tends to be very immersive. You feel like you're there. And in fact, a lot of industry leaders struggle to relate or to understand, but they know that it's different, and they see the excellence. But the internal tension is tough, because it doesn't activate the technical part of your brain. It challenges your spirit, and it's such a different heart posture. So it's amazing to see how something so technical can be so personal in people's worship experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So that's, and I think it translates well with lighting and the way that we approach audio. Our audio is even a much more mastered sound, where it's not so aggressive, it's much more blended. Our lighting is always very intentional. We're trying not to be flashy or cause distraction, but we're trying to enhance the mood or set the tone. And so it's always this battle between what is performance and what is worship. Somewhere in the middle is where we're finding the excellence.
Yeah, that's great. How do you partner with the Holy Spirit in production, whether it's sound, lighting, camera operation, any other behind the scenes?
The why, how do you connect with your why, really?
How do you connect with your why? How do you connect with the Holy Spirit? And how do you make decisions about even about what you're capturing or how you're capturing it, or when to upgrade, when to look at what else is out there, and when to change what you're doing? Or how are you following the Holy Spirit with that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options out there, and it can be overwhelming. And especially when we're so passionate about our thing, it's really easy to get distracted by shiny toys and lenses and cameras and things. I always like to say, we're not picking cool shots, we're actually being strategic. And part of that strategy is, again, worship posture, worship culture, all those things, but practically, it's what's the motivation? And we don't want to do things for the sake of production value, or for the sake of being cool or trying something trendy. It's what is motivating that decision. Unlimited creativity. We serve the God of creation. He created all of us. He created it all. And so why not partner with that? But what is the motivation?
Yeah.
So whenever I approach any equipment purchases, it's how does this align with the vision, with where God's calling us, but also just where's the motivation? How does this empower our creativity?
Yeah.